Welcome back for installment 2 of Rex, the Shiba Inu Puppy. We run a class Wednesday nights that we call Wednesday Night Lights, and so just before class I had him out for a session. Notice it is wet, dark and raining and cold, and so Rex is a little bit out of sorts about all of that, but he's dealing with it. He's developed really good stability on the touchpad. And actually his down is really good, and he'll do his down on verbal command only at this point. But with the cold, wet, nighttime scenario going on here, he's giving me quite a bit of resistance. I've found it's very important with Rex, if he's in his stubborn mode, doesn't want to do a behavior, there's really nothing gained by applying pressure. Here I'm giving a little bit of help with my hand, and that's actually progress for Rex, that he can accept some help that way. Earlier on in our week together, those sort of helps resulted in snarling and biting. He definitely still does that, snarls and bites. But in this context, when he's in drive, we're not having that issue. He's really not happy about downing in the wet conditions, and so trying to overcome that with some rewards. His sit is about 65 to 70% on verbal cue only. Depending on his drive state, if he's a little bit out of drive, a little bit of lure helps him to get that taken care of. Here I'm giving him a chance to do the down on verbal cue, and I noticed he was really locked onto my hand, and I'd really like him to be locked onto my face. So one way that I reinforce that with him is I'll actually put my hands behind my head, the one that I think he's locked onto, as far as seeing it as a source of reward. And that way he ends up looking at my face because he's looking for where the reward went. He's developed good stability in his down as well. But notice I'm not trying to hold this behavior until he breaks. While he's still solid in the behavior, I provide his release and yes marker and reward, and then we go right back into behavior. He's getting wise to these misses. I'm going to have to start actually running. Nice thing about working really small dogs is you don't have to do as much running in the beginning because you can wave your arms, multiples of their steps. But if you don't actually move, smart dogs like Rex start to realize it, and they don't chase the food. They realize you're just going to wave your arms around and then give it to them. There, he kind of rejected the help a little bit there. Just repping a lot of these duration building downs. Notice he's a little bit out of drive here, sniffing the ground, but he's holding the behavior nicely. Be a little bit more active reward to get him back into drive here. It's important not to do too many reps of work, food, work, food. That is how we develop post-reinforcement pause. It's about the worst thing for a dog like this, to take him from active, high drive to having a solidly conditioned post-reinforcement pause. I really dislike that. So I am very careful to not develop too long of a pattern of work, yes, reward, work, yes, reward. I really want my pattern to be more like work, yes, reward, 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 work, yes, reward, 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 and that way we stay away from these pauses, and I always get right back to the work as soon as the reward is done, unless something else happens. I also try not to allow the dog to eat the food off the ground. There, he got one. But if I drop a piece of food reward, I try and pick it right back up or move out of the area so that the dog doesn't end up sniffing the ground looking for drop treats. I'm loving his duration in these behaviors. So I'll continue to reward them as long as he continues to hold them. Here I'm preparing for my next round of behaviors here, and I'm going to work on his healing position. And I'm not calling this healing. This is more like pre-healing value building. I position the leash behind my leg so that I can give a little bit of back pressure with my leg. Find dogs as driven as Rex tend to be surgers, not laggers. Here I'm working on developing the concept for him of left leg focus, which is, I like to do as much backwards as forward here. And here you actually heard Rex give a couple little warning barks, and his focus shifted out into the woods. And I'm not sure what was there, or if anything was there, but I'm pretty sure later in the evening I spotted an owl in one of the trees. And we have a couple of different varieties of owl in our general area here, and one of the owls I've seen on the backside of our property is quite large and could easily make a snack out of Rex. So, because his focus was so affected, and you notice here he's kind of glued to the ground. Yeah, there he's really out of sorts. So I decided I was going to call this session good and put him up for the night, let him dry off and warm back up. All in all, I think that was a good session. Unfortunately, the end of the session probably had a little bit of a negative connotation in his mind, just that there was something out there. And I think he was probably right, but we'll take what we can get here. Semper Audax.